Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
You might be getting used to asking AI to find you a recipe or diagnose your pet's behavior. Would you trust it to help you fix a fighter jet, or treat a wounded soldier, or develop a military operations order in combat? New tools are being tested that promise that level of specificity and accuracy. Here with more details is the founder and CEO of EdgeRunner AI, Tyler Saltzman. Mr. Saltzman, thank you for joining me.
Hi, Terry. Thank you for having me.
We've talked a lot about AI on this show, but it's often at kind of a imaginary level, right? A theoretical level. You're talking about deploying AI on the battlefield, right? To service members in the work that they're doing, actually perhaps in combat. What do you think are the most pressing operational or cognitive challenges that service members face today that AI could help them with?
You know, I think the problem with AI right now, it's too generalized. And these mega frontier models from OpenAI, from Anthropic, and from X, for example, they're too generalized, they're too large and expensive to use. And more importantly, they're not domain specific to the warfighter. We've seen that with Grok hallucinating with, the things that happened in the news just a few days ago. And of course, we've seen ChatGPT do some crazy things. And the reason is they've been trained on all of YouTube transcribed into 10 trillion tokens. And of course, lots of this internet data. So they've taken the internet, made it into a giant corpus of data as data sets, and then trained on it. And of course, there's lots of harmful biases within these data sets, which makes the models do some crazy things. What we're doing is we're building these models from the ground up, and our data sets are crafted so it's culturally aware to the American warfighter. We take it a step further with the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Space Force, of course, the Air Force. They all might as well be different cultures, different acronyms, different ways of doing business, different ways of handling the fight. And then finally, you take it a step further based on your occupation, your MOS, your military occupation specialty. Me, I was a 90 Alpha Army logistician. I require much different AI than a combat medic or a fighter pilot or a combat engineer. And so that's really what we're solving for, is the personalization to be domain specific for the warfighters.
I, too, was an Army logistician, a maintenance officer, and I remember we had a whole van full of publications and maintenance manuals that we would take when we went to the field. We talked just the other day with folks from DHA who were talking about AI-enabled medical assistance. So how are you thinking about really deploying this into the hands of a warfighter or any service member, and how will it help them do their job better in the field?
Yeah, so as we went through Bullock and through TradeOp to learn how to do logistics the Army way. There's a lot of exams, it's tests we had to take. There's a lot of doctrine we have to memorize, lots of FMs, training manuals, you name it. But now these LLMs, these agents, are the ultimate compression function for knowledge. They can train on all this doctrine. Then you can ask it questions akin to a human conversation, like this right now, via natural language processing. And then the AIs can actually help you. For example, hey, create me a load plan to do X, Y, Z, or how many LMTVs will I need to move X amount of equipment to this location? How much fuel will I need? And right away, it can help you come up with the right answers. That way, we can create that common operating picture. And of course, we can do the same thing with medical as well, training on all this medical data and making the AIs understand how to be more efficient in giving the soldiers what they need.
Well, you mentioned all the different services being very different cultures. Do you imagine that this individual level AI can help bridge some of the differences across the different service branches?
Absolutely. Not just the service branches, but also our NATO allies. For example, if we took one of our models, translated to Hebrew, it wouldn't be great off the bat because it doesn't think like an IDF soldier. Now, as we work with the Israelis and we can get the data and train to make it their culture, that absolutely will bridge the gap between us and working better with them. Also, the Korean Rock Army, same thing with Korean translations, but ensuring the context doesn't get lost.
What are the challenges with really bringing all of those different cultures, languages, and even equipment sets together?
I'd say, the challenge is really, it goes down to it's personalization. And how do we do that? Well, what we do is we take these LLMs, we distill them so they're much smaller. We then augment them with LoRa's, which is, think of it as like an adapter, acts as fine tuning, and then we deploy this right on your device, on your laptop or your phone, so it never needs the internet and your data never leaves. And that's a challenge in itself, is making this run just like it's a ChatGPT experience, but with no internet right on your device. And the hard part is shrinking this down so you don't lose the magic of these models.
I'm speaking with Tyler Saltzman. He's the founder and CEO of EdgeRunner AI. In a combat scenario, individuals are making big decisions under stress. What risks do you think are inherent in deploying this kind of AI at that level?
I'd say the bigger risk is not deploying it. And here's the reason why. It's better to make the wrong decision immediately than the right decision too late. For example, let's say you're running a convoy and your truck goes down and you're moving explosive ordnance. Well, can I repackage this explosive ordnance on another truck with mortar rounds, for example? Or if that truck were to get hit, would exacerbate the explosion and take out my entire convoy. As a young lieutenant, you have to call the shot. You ask 3 different NCOs, you get 3 different answers: yes, no, maybe. Well, now I got to make the decision. Now with AIs right on my device, it can tell me, actually, yes, you're fine, you're good to go, or no, I wouldn't do that. And now it's not a silver bullet, but now I can make a much better decision immediately. And of course I can pivot later. And as you know, that's the difference between life and death sometimes.
Well, you talked about having AI on your device, and you also talked about it not being connected to the internet. How would that work in a denied environment?
So that's the beauty of it. It'll work in a denied environment just like you're on Wi-Fi. So this will live on your device just like it's Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel. You can open up your laptop and interface with it just like it's ChatGPT, and of course it doesn't need any internet. So when you're in a disconnected environment, you're good to go.
Sometimes batteries on those devices run out. So, what worries would you have that deploying AI at that level might replace the individual's knowledge or initiative?
A good point about the batteries. We're building different runners that optimize to use different parts of the chip for better battery life, as well as ensuring the device don't overheat. So heat can be a problem as well. But you bring up a good point. I do see this as the smarter getting smarter and the less informed becoming less informed. I think it's important that we keep the human in the loop. Think of this as like your expert AI assistant, but it's not a silver bullet. You still have to verify. Just like if I'm, me as a young lieutenant, I ask my chief warrant officer or my NCO something, I still should verify even though him or her is probably giving me very good advice. Similarly with these AI agents, but I do think these AI agents will be even better over time. And of course, it can reference where it found the information as well via retrieval augmented generation, what we call as RAG. So when you combine RAG with these agents, I can also verify where it found the source.
You're obviously a veteran of the military training model. It probably hasn't changed much since I went through it, but that conversation about keeping a human in the loop, what sorts of changes would you see necessary to the military training process to make sure that, A, we keep humans in the loop, and that the humans we keep in the loop know to do that kind of double check, triple check, not just take the AI's answer?
Yeah, so if I were in charge, I would create an SOP. As AI has become ubiquitous and part of our warfighting toolkit, you'll have your system on your laptop, and as you use it, what we built into our system is thumbs up, thumbs down. Every time you have a good answer, thumbs up. If it's wrong, thumbs down. That's called reinforcement learning human feedback. That information we then use to future-proof and retrain the AIs. So humans are instrumental to be in the loop to keep the AIs up to date and future-proofed. Because if you remove the human and you just rely on AI to retrain itself, AI will actually get dumber and reach convergence with other AIs, and they all become the same. So it's imperative the human stays in the loop and saying, yes, that's a great plan, that's a good op order, that's a good risk assessment, or that's not good, to keep the AIs, again, from going off the rails.
And so how do you see that, or what timeline do you see this actually becoming reality?
So our system works today. We're actually deployed in a live environment with SOCOM overseas, and we're excited about that. I'd say within 2 to 3 years, I think it'll be the standard. I think AIs will be a part of every warfighter's toolkit, as well as once we join the military, it'll be embedded in our courses. And I hope so, because we can't fall behind China in this AI race like we did fall behind them in the drone race.
Well, this is a fascinating application, and we'll look forward to watching how it rolls out. I've been speaking with Tyler Saltzman. He's the founder and CEO of EdgeRunner AI. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Terry. Appreciate it.
We'll post this interview at federalnewsnetwork.com/Federal Drive. Subscribe to the Federal Drive wherever you get your podcasts.